American Chinese romance and medical drama. Before we start, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and click the notification bell for more updates. Number 10. 10 TikTok and YouTube challenge. Number 10. Flip Bottle Challenge. Bottle flipping is an act that involves throwing a plastic bottle, typically partially full of liquid, into the air so that it rotates, in an attempt to land it upright on its base or cap. The model estimates that the best filling fractions for water flipping lie in the range between 20% and 40%. It became an international trend in late 2016, with numerous videos of people attempting the activity being posted online. With its popularity, a lot of famous TikTokers and YouTubers are doing and trying this challenge for fun. The repetitive thuds of multiple attempts have been criticized as a distraction and a public nuisance. Parents and teachers have expressed frustration at the practice, resulting in water bottle flipping being banned at a number of schools around the world, as well as many people calling for the practice to only be performed on private property, if at all. Multiple mobile apps have been created to recreate the activity. The app Bottle Flip 2K16 was downloaded 3 million times in the first month of its release. Before we continue, please subscribe, like, and click the notification bell for more updates. Number 9. Don't Push the Wrong Button Challenge. The A Button Challenge, ABC for short, is a challenge in which the number of presses of the A button is minimized, whether on a per mission or a per file basis. Don't press the wrong button is played. You are inside the box. There are a lot of buttons. Each button has consequence, prizes, and the exit button. You can only get out of the box if you choose the correct exit button, otherwise you will suffer with the consequence or be pampered with the prizes behind each button. Famous YouTubers around the world tried this challenge. They build and put extreme consequence in each button. Number 8. Lick, Bite or Nothing Challenge. Lick, Bite or Nothing Challenge is a challenge that you have to lick using your tongue, bite a piece, or you will do nothing to a food, drinks, or things that they will put. Lick, Bite or Nothing Challenge is a famous challenge that all YouTubers or TikTokers do. It is a fun game that you, your family or friends will enjoy. You can use various kind of things that you want, so it can be a fun and lively game for everyone. Number 7. Spicy Samyang Challenge. The South Korea instant noodle budak ramen has gone global. The Fire Noodle Challenge requires a person to consume the incredibly spicy food as fast as possible. There are more than 1 million videos on YouTube of people trying the Fire Noodle Challenge. Earlier this year, South Korean company Samyang Foods released the world's spiciest instant noodle. Hek Budak Extra Spicy Roasted Chicken Ramen has a rating of about 8,000 Scoville heat units and is reportedly so spicy that people online have taken on the challenge of eating them. If you're up for a challenge, this Budak Bibimian has an extremely spicy taste. Number 6. 3 AM Challenge. The 3 AM Challenge has become a phenomenon on YouTube, with some videos reaching millions of views. Kids all over the world are now waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, the witching hour, to hunt for signs of paranormal activity. Plenty of kids are old enough to handle them, but younger kids might find them disturbing. This particular online challenge, participants attempt to perform a specific task at 3 in the morning. They attempt things like calling strangers on the phone, calling God, or even playing with fidget spinners to see if a ghost or spirit from the other side respond on camera. Number 5. Try not to laugh challenge. Can you beat the try not to laugh challenge? Try Not to Laugh Challenge is a viral internet game that involves contestants watching funny videos without laughing or grinning. Try Not to Laugh or Grin Challenge is the perfect viral challenge to try with your loved ones. Watch a funny video. Do not laugh, grin, or chuckle. If you do, then you lose. Also, you can set a punishment for anyone that laughs or grin. The Try Not to Laugh Challenge is open to people of all ages, which means you can take the challenge with anyone. Friends, see your worker, classmates, and even your mom. With that being said, what videos do you think are the hardest to watch without laughing or grinning? Number 4. Guess That Drink Challenge. Try to Guess the Drink Challenge is a challenge that you need a box, and inside the box there are mystery drinks that people prepare for you. If they guess right, they get to make any 2 people in the game drink. But if they guess wrong, they have to drink twice or do consequence. The guessing continues around the circle. Number 3. Guess the Box Challenge. Place one of the items you found in the box and have your blindfolded participants, in 20-second increments, take turns reaching in and feeling the objects. They cannot remove the item from the box or scrape it along the sides. They can simply hold it and move it around in their hand. A mystery box containing selected teacher mementos provides the catalyst for developing curiosity and teaching students the concepts of clue, guess, and best guess. Number 2. Food Color Challenge. Eating only one color of food for 24 hours, 1 week, 7 days, 1 day for each color of the rainbow. Our first day would be red, our second orange, then yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. The Color Challenge is a show created by Timothy Alsod. It is about 10 colors who are told by White to participate in his challenge show and challenge each other for a grand prize at the end. Well, fruits and vegetables all come in a variety of colors. Each color is an indicator of the certain phytonutrients that are present. The most awaited number 1. Challenge yourself for 24 hours. The newest internet trend is encouraging children to sneak into stores and sleep in them overnight. As originator of the challenge, Scott McCloud has established rules for a comic to qualify. It must be begun and completed within 24 consecutive hours. Several store chains and companies have spoken out against the challenge, and participants risk being banned from stores or facing criminal charges for trespassing, criminal damage, and breaking. The creator may gather research materials and drawing tools beforehand, but cannot plan the comic's plot ahead of time or put anything on paper until they are ready for the 24 hours to begin. Top 10 Romantic Medical Korean Drama. Before we start, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and click the notification bell for more updates. Number 10. Suan. Train to Busan. Train to Busan is a 2016 South Korean action horror film directed by Yoon Sang-ho and starring Gong Yoo, Yoon Yumi, Ma Dong-seok, Kim Soo-eun, Choi Woo-shik, An So-hee and Kim Yui-sang. The film mostly takes place on a high-speed train from Seoul to Busan as a zombie apocalypse suddenly breaks out in the country and threatens the safety of the passengers. A chemical leak at a biotech plant causes the start of a zombie apocalypse that rapidly spreads across South Korea. As the train departs, signs of chaos from the infection reach the station, and an infected woman runs aboard, unnoticed, just before the doors close. She soon turns into a zombie, attacks an attendant, and many crew and passengers are quickly turned into zombies. The remaining passengers secure themselves in the front and rear cars, observing that the infected zombies only attack if they can see them or hear them, but they cannot operate the train's doors. They learn from news reports of the rapidly spreading epidemic across the country, and Seok-woo discovers the biotech plant was connected to his business. He uses his connections to try to secure safe. Seong-kyung and Soo-eun are forced to stop at a blocked tunnel just before Busan and walk. At the tunnel's exit, military snipers prepare to fire until they hear Soo-eun sob singing Aloha Oh. They then realize that the pair are human and help them to safety. Number 9. Peninsula Train to Busan Presents. Peninsula Train to Busan Presents. Peninsula is a 2020 South Korean action horror film directed by Yoon Sang-ho. A zombie outbreak occurs in South Korea, where the government is overwhelmed in a day. Korean Marine Captain Yoon Seok drives his family members to a ship. On the way, he encounters a couple with a young daughter, but he ignores their pleas for help as the man is bleeding. Young Seok's family board a ship where an infected man turns into a zombie and infects several people in a cabin, including Young Seok's nephew Dong-hwan. Young Seok's sister refuses to leave Dong-hwan, so Young Seok closes off the cabin while zombies bite her. Young Seok stops his brother-in-law Shulmin from entering as armed soldiers arrive. Other nations contain the outbreak by quarantining South Korea. 4 years later, in Hong Kong, a guilt-ridden Yoon Seok and Chulmin are recruited by Chinese mobsters for a mission with 2 other Koreans to return to South Korea and retrieve a truck containing $20 million. If successful, they will supposedly receive half of the money. The team arrives at the peninsula at night by boat and finds the truck. The team fends off and kills the zombie truck driver, making noises that attract more zombies. Young Seok shoots several. Young Seok remembers Chulmin saying that Young Seok did not do his best to save their family and is spurred to help Min Young. Min Young decides to live, and she escapes the zombies with Young Seok's assistance. The family, Young Seok, and the UN troops leave the peninsula in the helicopter. Number 8. #Alive. #Alive is a 2020 South Korean zombie film directed by Cho Il-hyung, starring Yoo-in and Park Shin-hye. It is based on the 2019 script Alone by Matt Naylor, who adapted his script with Cho. The film revolves around a video game live streamer's struggle for survival. They are about to be overwhelmed. An army helicopter shoots at the horde before the military has begun rescuing survivors who made social media posts. Number 7. The Mimic. The Mimic is a 2017 South Korean horror film written and directed by Ha-young and starring Yam Young-ah and Park Hyuk-kang, Hee-yeon, Min-ho, and their little daughter Jun-hee moved to Mt. Jang with Jun-hee's grandmother, who is senile, hoping it will improve her condition, and so Hee-yeon and Min-ho can heal after. The grandmother hears her dead sister's voice calling her from the woods. Two children come in search of their dog, the one killed in the car accident from the beginning. The kids hear their dog barking and follow the sound to the brick wall. The girl is pulled through the hole in the wall by an unseen force but escapes. The kids run to Hee-yeon and Min-ho for help. Hee-yeon encounters a little girl in the woods but is drawn away by the kids and her husband, who enters the hole and finds a bolted door. The mother of a missing child takes in a lost girl she finds in the woods, but soon begins to wonder if she is even human. The Jamsa tiger, who mimics human voices to lure them close, encounters a family affected by the creature. Number 6. Whispering Corridors. Whispering Corridors is a 1998 South Korean supernatural horror film directed and written by Park Hee-hyung. In an all-female high school in South Korea, the Jukran High School for Girls, a homeroom teacher, Mrs. Park, nicknamed Old Fox due to her sadistic method of teaching, circles several points in the students' yearbooks and calls her new fellow teacher, Hur Yoon-young, telling her that Jun Ji-yu is definitely dead, but still attending school. Moments later, she is strangled with a noose by an unknown figure, her body discovered by 3 new senior students. The talented, superstitious artist Limgo, the timid outsider Yoon Ji-yi. Their new replacement teacher is the cruel, abusive Mr. O, nicknamed Mad Dog, who likes to give corporal punishments to his students, as well as harass the class top student, Park So-young. The discovery of Mrs. Park's body deeply impacts Ji-oh, so she creates a painting of the body, which earns her a horrible punishment by Mr. O. Yoon-young suspects that Ji-oh may be a ghost, since she carries bells that Jin Ji-yu, her best friend from high school, had given her. But Ji-oh tells her that they were given to her by Ji-yi. Yoon-young and Ji-oh are still in the classroom the next day when they are observed by a student. The girl leaves upon seeing the two, but as she turns around, it is revealed that she is Young-suk's. Number 5. The Red Shoes. Ever since leaving her husband, Sunjae Kim Sung-soo has lived with her daughter Seo Ha-room in a creepy old apartment, and it's about to get a lot more spooky. One night on the subway, she discovers a pair of lovely red shoes, but when she brings them home, she carries a horrific curse into her life. As nightmarish visions dominate her mind, and those around her suffer grisly deaths, Sunjae must discover the secret of the shoe's destructive power if she wants to survive. The last scene reveals Tae-soo practicing her ballet in her mother's bedroom. In a post-credits scene, A grown-up Tersu picks up the pink shoes in the park. Number 4. Death Bell. Trapped by a maniac, teenage students Namduri Kim Bum must solve a series of puzzles or suffer horrible fates. Death Bell Korean. Gosa. Pujunggang Gosa is a 2008 Korean horror film. Death Bell stars Lee Byung-soo in his first horror film role, and K-pop singer Namduri in her acting debut. Set in a Korean high school, the film's native title refers to Gosa, the important midterm exams that all students are required to sit. A group of 20 high school students partakes in an elite class to prepare for a college exam. Among them are the rebellious Kang Ain-da, her best friend Yoon Myung-hya, and the class clown Kim Hyeon. Despite the warning, the class tries to leave, only to find that a teacher and hall monitor, Mr. Lee, was beaten to death, leaving only security Mr. Kim to guard them. A memorial is held for the students killed. Then Aina is kidnapped unnoticed. One final question is posed: have the person who killed his daughter step forward and confess? Flashbacks reveal that Kim's daughter, Kim Ji-won, worked hard to enter the elite class. However, the parents of the killed students bribed Chang Wook for the entrance test answers. The film closes with Aina seeing that she tops the class ranking, and it is implied that Byung's attacks were due to her being possessed by Ji-won since the beginning. Number 3. Metamorphosis. A face-changing evil spirit infiltrates a family, placing one brother in danger while the other tries to save him. Gang Gusung Dong Il and Myung Jo Oh Jang Young Nam are married, and they have 3 children. Sun Woo Kim Hai Jun, Hyun Jo Chu Yu Hyun, and Woo Young Kim Kang Hoon. They move into a new home, but bizarre and terrifying things happen to the family. The devil transforms into one of the family members. Oldest child Sun Woo calls her uncle Jeong-soo Bae Sun Woo for help. Jeong-soo is a Catholic priest who performs exorcisms. Metamorphosis. Noun, a change of the form or nature of a thing or person into a completely different one, by natural or supernatural means. Number 2. Rampant. Rampant is a 2018 South Korean period action zombie film directed by Kim Sung-hoon. It was released on October 25, 2018. The film features a clash between exiled Prince Lee Chung and the Joseon Minister of War Kim Je-jun with the backdrop of a spreading zombie plague. In the Joseon dynasty, King Lee Jo is viewed as overly deferential to the nearby Qing dynasty of China. His son, Crown Prince Li Yang, plots to buy European arquebuses to drive away the Qing. The plot is exposed by War Minister Kim Je-jun, who holds influence over the king and frames it as a rebellion. Kim meets the Europeans and learns that they have brought zombies called night demons. Together, they duel with each other, Lee Chung being the victor. Reinforcements of soldiers and commoners later arrive to exterminate the rest of the zombies. Lee Chung recognizes that through the power of the people, the ruined Joseon still has hopes for existence, and elects to stay rather than go back to Qing China. Finally, number 1. The flu. Chaos ensues after a lethal airborne virus infects the population of a South Korean city less than 20 kilometers from Seoul. Flu is a 2013 South Korean disaster film written and directed by Kim Sung-soo, about an outbreak of a deadly strain of H5N1 that kills its victims within 36 hours, throwing the district of Bandang in Seongnam, which has a population of nearly 500,000 people, into chaos. It stars Jang Hyuk, Soo Ae-il and Ma Dong-seok. Brothers Jae-yu Byung-woo and Jae-yu Byung-ki are smugglers in Seoul, who find that illegal immigrants have died in a shipping container from an unknown illness. They take Seoul survivor Monsai and cell phone video of the bodies to show their boss in Budang, but Byung-woo becomes sick and Monsai escapes. The brothers go to a clinic where the contagion is passed on to others who spread it throughout the city. In this 2013 thriller, the death toll mounts from an airborne disease in a South Korean suburb, resulting in a quarantine and a reign of chaos. Top 5 American series. Before that, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and click the notification bell. Top 5. Criminal Minds. Criminal Minds is an American police procedural crime drama television series created and produced by Jeff Davis. The series premiered on CBS on September 22, 2005 and concluded on February 19, 2020. It follows a group of criminal profilers who work for the FBI as members of its Behavioral Analysis Unit (BOR), using behavioral analysis and profiling to investigate crimes and find the unknown subject, the team's nickname for perpetrators. The show tells the story of the team as they work various cases and tackle their personal struggles. The show's original main cast consisted of 7 characters: Jason Gideon, Mandy Patinkin, Aaron Hotchner, Thomas Gibson, Al Greenaway, Lola Glaudini, Derek Morgan, Shama Mua, Spencer Reed, Matthew Gray Gubler, Jennifer Jarrow, A.J. Cook, and Penelo. The cast underwent major changes throughout the series' run, with several of the show's original members being replaced by 9 additional starring characters: Emily Prentice, Paget Brewster, David Rossai, Joe Mantegna, Ashley Seaver, Rachel Nichols, Alex Blake, Jean Tripahorn, Kate Callahan, Jennifer Love Hewitt, Tara Lewis, Aisha, Tyler, Luke Alves. Criminal Minds became a rating hit for CBS, regularly featuring as one of the network's most watched shows throughout its 15-year-long run. Top 4. CSI Miami. CSI Miami Crime Scene Investigation. Miami is an American police procedural drama television series that premiered on September 23, 2002 on CBS, starring David Caruso as Lieutenant Horatio Kane, Emily Proctor as Detective Callie Duquesne, and Adam Rodriguez as Detective Eric Delco. The series is the first direct spin-off of CSI, Crime Scene Investigation, transplanting the same template and trickery, gory crimes, procedural plot, and dazzling graphics into a new city. The series ended on April 8, 2012, after 10 seasons and 232 episodes. CSI Miami follows a group of detectives assigned to the Miami-Dade Police Department's crime scene investigations, an elite unit operating out of the fictional Miami-Dade Police Headquarters. The team is led by Lieutenant Horatio Kane, David Caruso, who, through his history as a bomb disposal expert, has gained specialized knowledge in explosive forensics. Horatio believes that evil is and lives between the perpetrators of this evil and the people who try and come between that evil and the citizen. In his pursuit of justice, he has proven that he can handle himself on the street, and he's not a person to be messed with. Top 3. Dr. House M.D. House, also called House M.G., is an American medical drama television series that originally ran on the Fox network for 8 seasons, from November 16, 2004 to May 21, 2012. The series' main character is Gregory House Hugh Laurie, an unconventional, misanthropic medical genius who, despite his dependence on pain medication, leads a team of diagnosticians at the fictional Princeton Plainsboro Teaching Hospital in New Jersey. House often clashes with his fellow physicians, including his own diagnostic team, because many of his hypotheses about patients' illnesses are based on subtle or controversial insights. His flouting of hospital rules and procedures frequently leads him into conflict with his boss, hospital administrator, and dean of medicine, Lisa Cuddy Edelstein. House's only true friend is James Wilson Robert Sean Leonard, head of the Department of Oncology. House's diagnostic team consists of Robert Chase, Jesse Spencer, Dr. Allison Cameron, Jennifer Morrison, and Eric Foreman, Omar EPPS. Rejoined by Foreman, House gradually selects 3 new team members: Dr. Remy 13 Hadley, Olivia Wilde, Dr. Crystal Peter Jacobson, and Lawrence Kutner Carl Penn. House was among the top 10 series in the United States from its 2nd season through the 4th season, distributed to 66 countries. House was the most watched television program in the world in 2008. On February 8, 2012, Fox announced that the 8th season, then in progress, would be its last. The series finale aired on May 21, 2012, following an hour-long retrospective. Anytime you try to summarize a show in one word, you sound like an ass. It's about truth. David Shaw. Hockley, Luke 2011. How's the Wounded Healer on television? Everybody lies, and that's the truth. House. Top 4. How to Get Away with Murder. How to Get Away with Murder is an American legal thriller television series that premiered on September 25, 2014 and concluded on May 14, 2020. The series was created by Peter Nowak and produced by Shonda Rhimes and Dub Studios. The series aired on ABC as part of a night of programming, all under Rhimes Shondaland Production Company. Viola Davis stars as Annalise Keating, a law professor at a prestigious Philadelphia university who, with 5 of her students, becomes entwined in a murder plot. She selects 5 of her first-year students to intern at her firm: Wes Gibbons, Connor Walsh, Michaela Pratt, Asha Millstone, and Laurel Castillo. The Keating 5. They work with Annalise's employees, Frank Delfino and Bonnie Winterbottom, an associate lawyer. As the first season introduces occasional clients for Keating, it explores 2 related murders through both flashback and flash-forwards. Lila Stangard, mistress of Annalise's husband and a student at Middleton, and then Sam Keating, Annalise's husband, who was killed by Annalise's interns. The first 9 episodes alternate between the present-day timeline media's race, depicting Wes, Connor, Michaela, and Laurel covering up Sam's murder by disposing of his body, and flashbacks detailing the course of events leading up to Sam's death, including Annalise's becoming involved in the Lila Stangard investigation. At Wes's urging, leading her to discover Sam's affair and creating suspicion that he killed Lila. The final 6 episodes explore analyzes attempts to help her interns cover up Sam's murder and legally implicate Sam in Lila's death and flashbacks to Lila's final moments before her murder. Murder and misdeed over the last 6 seasons is put out in the open, forcing them to make drastic choices for survival that will change their lives, relationships, and futures forever. Top 5. Prison Break. Prison Break is an American serial drama television series created by Paul Showing for Vox. The series revolves around 2 brothers, Lincoln Burrows, Dominic Purcell, and Michael Schofield. Burrows has been sentenced to death for a crime he did not commit, and Schofield devises an elaborate plan to help his brother escape prison and clear his name. The first season follows the rescue of Lincoln Burrows, who is accused of murdering Terrence Steadman, the brother of Vice President of the United States, Caroline Reynolds. Lincoln is sentenced to death and is incarcerated in Fox River State Penitentiary, where he awaits his execution. Lincoln's brother, brilliant structural engineer Michael Schofield, is convinced of Lincoln's innocence and formulates an elaborate escape plan. In order to gain access to Fox River, Michael commits an armed robbery, which results in him being sentenced to Fox River. The brothers, along with 6 other inmates, Fernando Sucre, Theodore T. Bagwell, Benjamin Miles C. Note Franklin, David Twinner Appleskiss, John Abruzzi, and Charles Haywire Potoshek, who come to be known as the Fox River 8, escape in the episode immediately prior to the season finale, after using their prison industry privileges to dig an escape tunnel underneath the prison. I know everybody asked me about the things I watched. This are some of the series I enjoyed watching besides Asian drama. I hope you will like it. Top 5. Pilot saves plane from crashing. Before we continue, please don't forget to subscribe, like, and click the notification bell for more updates. Number 5. Aloha Airlines Flight 243. A scheduled Aloha Airlines flight between Hilo and Honolulu in Hawaii on April 28, 1988. A Boeing 737-9 serving the flight suffered extensive damage after an explosive decompression in flight, but was able to land safely at Kahului Airport on Maui. Flight 243 departed from Hilo International Airport at 13:25 HST on April 28, 1988, with 6 crew members and 89 passengers on board, bound for Honolulu. After a routine takeoff and descent, the aircraft had reached its normal flight altitude of 24,000 feet when at around 13:48, about 23 nautical miles, south-southeast of Kahului, on the island of Maui. A small section on the left side of the roof ruptured with a whooshing sound. The captain felt the aircraft roll to the left and right, and the controls went loose. The first officer noticed pieces of gray insulation floating above the cabin. The resulting explosive decompression had torn off a large section of the roof, consisting of the entire top half of the aircraft skin extending from just behind the cockpit to the forewing area. They performed an immediate emergency descent. The crew declared an emergency and diverted to Kahului Airport for an emergency landing. During the approach to the airport, the left engine failed, and the flight crew was unsure if the nose gear was lowered correctly. Nevertheless, they were able to land normally on runway 2, 13 minutes after the incident. Upon landing, The aircraft's emergency evacuation slides were deployed and passengers quickly evacuated from the aircraft. 65 people were reported injured, 8 of them with serious injuries. The one fatality, flight attendant Clarabelle Lansing, was ejected from the airplane. First Captain Madeline Minnie Tompkins, Captain Robert Bob Skornsheimer, and flight attendant Michelle Honda saved the passengers. Number 4. Southwest Airlines Flight 1380, Boeing 7377H for that experienced a contained engine failure in the left CFM56-7B engine after departing from New York LaGuardia Airport en route to Dallas Love Field on April 17, 2018. Captain Tammy Jo Schultz is an American retired commercial airline captain and former naval aviator, known for being one of the first female fighter pilots to serve in the United States Navy. The engine cowl was broken in the failure and cowl fragments damaged the fuselage, causing explosive depressurization of the aircraft after damaging a cabin window. Other fragments caused damage to the wing. The crew conducted an emergency descent and diverted to Philadelphia International Airport. One passenger was partially ejected from the aircraft. The flight crew conducted an emergency descent of the aircraft and diverted it to Philadelphia International Airport. One passenger sitting next to the broken window suffered fatal injuries and 8 passengers sustained minor injuries. The flight crew reported initial communications difficulties because of the loud noises, distraction, and wearing oxygen masks, but as the aircraft descended, communications improved. The captain initially planned on a long final approach to make sure the crew completed all the emergency checklists. Upon learning of the passengers' injuries, however, she decided to speed up the approach and expedite landing. Number 3. United Airlines Flight 811 was a regularly scheduled airline flight from Los Angeles to Sydney, with intermediate stops at Honolulu and Auckland. On February 24, 1989, the Boeing 747-12 serving the flight experienced a cargo door failure in flight shortly after leaving Honolulu. Flight 811 took off from Honolulu International Airport at 1:52 local time, with 337 passengers and 18 crew members on board. During the climb, the crew made preparations to deep or around thunderstorms along the plane's track. The captain anticipated turbulence and kept the passenger seatbelt sign lit. The aircraft had been flying for 17 minutes. As it was passing from 22,000 to 23,000 feet 6,700 to 7,000 m, when the flight crew heard a loud thump, which shook it. About a second and a half later, the forward cargo door blew off. It swung out with such force that it passed its normal stop and slammed into the side of the fuselage, bursting it open. Pressure differentials and aerodynamic forces caused the cabin floor to cave in, and 10 seats G and H of rows 8 through 12 were ejected from the cabin. A gaping hole was left in the aircraft, through which a flight attendant, May Sapaloo in the business class cabin, was almost blown out. Senior flight attendant Laura Brentlinger hung onto the steps leading to the upper deck and was dangling from them when the decompression occurred. Passengers and crew members saw her clinging to a seat leg and were able to pull her back inside the cabin, although she was severely injured. During the descent, Captain Cronin ordered flight engineer Thomas to tell the flight attendants to prepare for an emergency landing, but he was unable to contact them through the intercom. As the airliner neared the airport, the landing gear was extended. The flaps could only be partially deployed as a result of damage sustained following the decompression. Captain Cronin was able to bring the aircraft to a halt without overrunning the runway. About 14 minutes had elapsed since the emergency was declared. All the remaining passengers and flight attendants exited the aircraft in less than 45 seconds. Number 2. Air Transat Flight 236. Air Transat Flight 236 was a transatlantic flight bound for Lisbon, Portugal, from Toronto, Canada, that lost all engine power while flying over the Atlantic Ocean on August 24, 2001. The Airbus A330 ran out of fuel due to a fuel leak caused by improper maintenance. Captain Robert Pitch, 48, an experienced glider pilot, and First Officer Dirk Jagger, 28, glided the plane to a successful emergency landing in the Azores, saving all 306 people. Most of the passengers on the flight were Canadians visiting Europe or Portuguese expatriates returning to visit family in Portugal. This was also the longest passenger aircraft glide without engines, gliding for nearly 75 miles or 120 kilometers. Following this unusual aviation accident, this aircraft was nicknamed the Azores Glider. Flight TS-236 took off from Toronto at 0:52 UTC on Friday, August 24, 2001 local time, 20:52 ET, on Thursday, August 23, bound for Lisbon, Portugal. There were 293 passengers and 13 crew on board. The flight was flown by Captain Pitch, who had 16,800 hours of flight experience, with 796 of them on the Airbus A330-12, and First Officer Dirk Jagger, who had 4,800 flight hours. It was powered by two Rolls-Royce Trent 777-B60 engines capable of delivering 71,100 316 thrust each. Leaving the gate in Toronto, the aircraft had 46.9 tons of fuel on board, 4.5 tons more than required by regulations. At 4:38 UTC, the aircraft began to leak fuel through a fracture which had developed in a fuel line to the number 2 right engine. At 5:03 UTC, more than 4 hours into the flight, the pilots noticed low oil temperature and high oil pressure on engine number 2. Captain Pitch suspected they were false warnings and shared that opinion with their maintenance control center, who advised them to monitor the situation. The pilots received a warning of fuel imbalance. Still unaware of the fuel leak, they followed a standard procedure to remedy the imbalance by transferring fuel from the left wing tank. The transferred fuel was lost through the fractured fuel line, which was leaking at about 1 gallon per second. The pilots decided to divert to Lagos Air Base in the Azores. They declared a fuel emergency with Santa Maria Oceanic Air Traffic Control 3 minutes later. Without engine power, the plane lost its primary source of electrical power. However, the aircraft lost its main hydraulic power, which operates the flaps, alternate brakes and spoilers. The slats would still be powered. The airbase was sighted a few minutes later. Pitch had to execute one 360-degree turn, and then a series of S-turns to dissipate excess altitude. The plane touched down hard, approximately 1,030 feet past the threshold of runway 33, at a speed of approximately 200 knots. Maximum emergency braking was applied and retained, and the plane came to a stop after a landing run that consumed 7,600 feet of the 1,000-foot runway. 14 passengers and 2 crew members suffered minor injuries, while 2 passengers suffered serious injuries during the evacuation of the aircraft. The plane suffered structural damage to the main landing gear and the lower fuselage. Number 1. British Airways Flight 5390. British Airways Flight 5390 was a flight from Birmingham Airport in England for Malaga Airport in Spain on June 10, 1990. An improperly installed windscreen panel separated from its frame, causing the plane's captain to be blown partially out of the aircraft. With the captain pinned against the window frame for 20 minutes, the first officer landed at Southampton Airport. Atchison handled a routine takeoff at 8:20 local time 07:20 UTC, then handed control to Lancaster as the plane continued to climb. Both pilots released their shoulder harnesses, and Lancaster loosened his lap belt. At 8:33:07:33 UTC, the plane had climbed through about 17,300 feet. Air Steward Nigel Ogden was entering the cockpit when there was a loud bang, and the cabin quickly filled with condensation. The left windscreen panel on Lancaster's side of the flight deck had separated from the forward fuselage. Lancaster was propelled out of his seat by the rushing air from the decompression and forced head first out of the flight deck. His knees were caught on the flight controls, and his upper torso remained outside the aircraft, exposed to extreme wind and cold. The autopilot had disengaged, causing the plane to descend rapidly. The flight deck door was blown inward onto the control console, blocking the throttle control, causing the aircraft to gain speed as it descended. Ogden rushed to grab Lancaster's belt, while the other two air stewards secured loose objects, reassured passengers, and instructed them to adopt brace positions. The plane was not equipped with oxygen for everyone on board, so Atchison began a rapid emergency descent to reach an altitude with sufficient air pressure. He then re-engaged the autopilot and broadcast a distress call, but he was unable to hear the response from air traffic control because of wind noise. By this time, Lancaster had shifted several inches further outside, and his head was repeatedly striking the side of the fuselage. The crew believed him to be dead, but Atchison told the others to continue holding onto him, out of fear that letting go of him might cause him to strike the left wing engine. Eventually, Atchison was able to hear the clearance from air traffic control to make an emergency landing at Southampton Airport. The air stewards managed to free Lancaster's ankles from the flight controls while still keeping hold of him. The aircraft landed at Southampton, and the passengers disembarked using boarding steps. Top 10 of the biggest things in the world that prove humans like to live at large. Number 10. Strata launched the world's largest plane. The Scaled Composites Model 351 Stratolaunch is an aircraft built for Stratolaunch systems by Scaled Composites to carry a launch-to-orbit rockets. It was announced in December 2011 and rolled out in May 2017. The aircraft features a twin fuselage design and the longest wingspan ever flown. At 385 feet, the Stratolaunch is intended to carry a 550,000-pound payload and has a 13,000-pound maximum takeoff weight. It should release its rocket at 35,000 feet. The aircraft flew for the first time on April 13, 2019, and shortly thereafter, the company announced it would halt development of its air-launched family of launch vehicles following the death of Stratolaunch founder Paul Allen in October 2018. The company ceased operations the next month and placed all company assets, including the aircraft, for sale for $400 million by June 2019. Cerberus Capital Management acquired Stratolaunch Systems, including the Stratolaunch aircraft, in October 2019. Stratolaunch announced in December 2019 that it would now be focusing on offering high-speed flight test services. Before we continue, please subscribe, like, and click the notification bell for more updates. Number 9. The largest bottle of wine in the world. The largest bottle of wine is 4.17 meters tall, 1.21 meter in diameter, and was filled with 3,094 liters of wine. Achieved by Ando Vogel as measured in Lissabon, Switzerland, on October 20, 2014. Often when you hear of world records accomplished, it is thought of as personal success or victory. The world's largest wine bottle is, in fact, the brainchild of Swiss car importer Ando Vogel, who in 2014 commissioned a 4.17 meter tall bottle to celebrate the opening of a new branch. The mammoth bottle, which holds 3,094 liters of wine, is equivalent to over 412 petty-sized 75 cl bottles that we think of wine in traditionally. A warning to all those restaurants offering free corkage. Number 8. Dubai Mall, the biggest mall in the world. At over 12 million square feet, equivalent in size to more than 50 soccer fields, the Dubai Mall is the largest shopping mall in the world, based on total area, but about the same size as the West Edmonton Mall if based on leasable space. This shopper's paradise has 1,200 shops and is a $20 billion complex. It is 13 million square feet and has 22 cinema screens. Located in Dubai, United Arab Emirates, it is part of the $20 billion downtown complex called Downtown Dubai, adjacent to the iconic Burj Khalifa. Number 7. San Alfonso del Mar, the biggest swimming pool in the world. Located in Algarrobo, Chile, this pool is 3,324 feet in length, with a total area of 19.77 acres. It looks more like a large river than a pool. At 1,013 meters in length, with a total area of 8 hectares, the swimming pool at the San Alfonso del Mar Resort in Algarrobo, Chile is the largest in the world. It was listed officially as the largest swimming pool by area in the Guinness Book of World Records in December of 2006. The pool holds a staggering 250 million liters, 66 million gallons of water, and is the equivalent to about 6,000 8-meter-long pools. Number 6. Arecibo Observatory, the largest telescope in the world. The Arecibo Observatory, also known as the National Astronomy and Ionosphere Center NAIC, and formerly known as the Arecibo Ionosphere Observatory, is an observatory in Barrio Esperanza, Arecibo, Puerto Rico, owned by the U.S. National Science Foundation (NSF). The observatory's main instrument was the Arecibo telescope, a 305 meters 1,000 feet spherical reflector dish built into a natural sinkhole, with a cable-mount steerable receiver and several radar transmitters for emitting signals mounted 150 meters for 90 feet above the dish. Completed in 1963, it was the world's largest single-aperture telescope for 53 years, surpassed in July 2016 by the 500-meter aperture spherical telescope FAST in China, following two breaks in cables supporting the receiver platform in the prior months. The NSF stated on November 19, 2020, that it was decommissioning the telescope due to safety concerns. On December 1, 2020, the main telescope collapsed before controlled demolition could be conducted. NASA conducted a full investigation and reported. The observatory includes a radio telescope, a LiDAR facility, and a visitor center, which are expected to remain operational after the damage from the main telescope collapse has been assessed. Number 5. Monster motorbike. The biggest motorbike in the world. Fabio Feggiani is the Guinness World Record title holder for the biggest motorcycle, measuring in at 20 feet long, supported on either side by training wheels. This behemoth comes in at 3 tons. Not really designed especially for speed and power. He used a modified Detroit diesel inline V6 to power it. Well, the Australians certainly wouldn't stand for that. Designed and built in Perth, Australia, mechanic Ray Borman spent over $250,000 building what he saw as the true champion of biggest motorbike in history. Dubbed the Monster Motorbike, it made its first debut on the Perth motorway. Before an audience of some 10,000 people, Borman unleashed this 13.6-ton wildebeest out on the track. Each of his tires weighed as much as the entire motorbike of the Guinness Book title holder. Number 4. The Bagger 288 excavator. The world's largest machine. Bagger 288 excavator 288. Built by the German company Krupp for the energy and mining firm Rheinbraun, is a bucket wheel excavator or mobile strip mining machine. When its construction was completed in 1978, Bagger 288 superseded Big Muskie as the heaviest land vehicle in the world at 13,500 tons. It took 5 years to design and manufacture, and 5 years to assemble, with total cost reaching $100 million. In 1995, it was itself superseded by the slightly heavier Bagger 293 14,200 tons. NASA's crawler transporter still remains the largest self-propelled land vehicle in the world. Since bucket wheel excavators are powered by an external power source, and the overburden conveyor bridge F-60s hold the title of largest land vehicle of any type by physical dimensions. Number 3. The Gustav gun. The largest gun in the world. Schwer Gustav English. Heavy Gustav was a German 80 cm 31. 5-in railway gun. It was developed in the late 1930s by Krupp in Argenbold as siege artillery for the explicit purpose of destroying the main forts of the French Maginot Line, the strongest fortifications in existence at the time. The gun was designed in preparation for the Battle of France, but was not ready for action when the battle began, and in any case the Wehrmacht's blitzkrieg offensive through Belgium rapidly outflanked and isolated the Maginot Line static defenses, eventually forcing the French to flee in panic and surrender. Gustav was later deployed in the Soviet Union during the Battle of Sevastopol, part of Operation Barbarossa, where, among other things, it destroyed a munitions depot located roughly 30 meters. Schwer Gustav was the largest caliber rifled weapon ever used in combat and, in terms of overall weight, the heaviest mobile artillery piece ever built. It fired the heaviest shells of any artillery. It was surpassed in caliber only by the unused British Mallets mortar and the American Little David bomb testing mortar, both at 36 inches 91, 5 cm, but was the only one of the three to be used. Number 2. The world's biggest pizza. The data is a bit sketchy, but here are relevant numbers. The pizza measured 122 feet, 8 inches in diameter, weighed 26,883 pounds, and contained 9,920 pounds of flour, 3,960 pounds of cheese. Chefs in Rome cooked up the world's largest gluten-free pizza, named Ottavia. It weighs 50,000 pounds and is the size of an Olympic swimming pool. Apparently, it had 5 tons of tomato sauce and 4.4 tons of mozzarella cheese. Lastly, number 1. Captain Underpants. Giant pants, the biggest pants in the world. Everybody knows that real superheroes wear their underpants on the outside, right? But even the likes of Batman and Superman would find this challenge an epic test of coordination. American film studio 20th Century Fox has created the world's largest underpants to celebrate the release of Captain Underpants, the first epic movie. The giant undergarment measured 23.44 meters 76 feet 10 in across the waist and 13.81 meters 45 feet 3 in from waistband to crotch. The Guinness World Record rules for this record stated that the outsized pants must be to scale so that, in theory, a giant person could wear them. Guinness World Records judge Glenn Pollard was invited along to the attempt in London, UK, to measure the underpants and make the record official. Top 10 criminals in the Philippines. Here's a list you would not want to volunteer yourself to be part of. Outlaws have always had their own stories to tell. Many of these people who belong here have become legends in some sort of way. I believe these people could have become useful contributors to society. Presenting the top 10 criminals in the Philippines for all time. Number 1. Baby Alma Marcel Perez Alma. Baby Alma got his moniker because of his baby face good looks. Born poor in the streets of Tondo, Manila, he soon found his way to jail for thievery. However, the final straw that broke the camel's back was when his pregnant wife was allegedly raped by a prison guard, an event which pushed her to commit suicide. With all the hate inside of him, Baby Alma rose to become the leader of Side Gang, a group which under his leadership took part in the largest jail riot against a rival gang Oxo in Muntinlupa, which ended in 9 prisoners dead with 1 beheaded. Although pardoned and his sentence was commuted to life, Baby Alma was still electrocuted in 1961. He was 16 years old. Number 2. Nadong Piyush Leonardo Malicio was a Filipino gangster from Cavite Province. Nadong Piyush's name started hitting the headlines while still young as one of the alleged participants in the Maragondon massacre, a bloodbath where the mayor, along the police chief, and several police. Malicio famously credited his ability to survive and escape numerous ambushes and gunfights to his anting amulet. Eventually sentenced to 182 years imprisonment, he escaped again in 1969 and rose to become Cavite's public enemy number 1 as the leader of a notorious gang operating drugs smuggling, carnapping ring. After a massive manhunt, the long arm finally caught up with the Robin Hood of Cavite and was killed inside his red Impala car by a rain of bullets coming from 20 NBI. Number 3. Waway Walito Toledo. This one is from Cebu, and it seems he has a boundless appetite for raping women. Rumor has it that Waway has supernatural powers and is bent on raping and slaying 40 people a day. He has stricken fear so much in the ordinary Cebuanos that his posters bearing his photo are spread all over the island. For the record, a string of suits involving rape has been filed against him. Waway was never put to jail. One good thing that came out of the Waway tales is that the police are finding it easy to implement the ordinance that bans minors from staying out from midnight to 4 a.m. Number 4. Aseong Salonga Nicasio Rodriguez Salonga, lawbreaker from Tondo, Manila. A notorious gang leader, Aseong Salonga struck fear in the very heart of Tondo, going against rival gangs operating in the area. A host of crimes including murder and homicide have been attributed to him, but he always manages to come out clean. On October 7, 1951, while out drinking after a baptism, he was gunned by a henchman of a rival group. He was only 27. Number 5. Grappa Butch Belgica. Butch was one of the youngest gang leader in the underworld and was convicted in a sensational homicide case. He was a radical that was indoctrinated by the communists. However, his story had a happy ending, as he soon found his calling in serving God. He spent his prison days writing exposing the injustices of the system from within. Number 6. Bing Bong Vincent Piche Criso Logo. Now here's another lawless man turned into a man of the law. Born to a good family, Bing Bong is the son of the governor of Ilocos, but soon made headlines, spreading terror all over the province in a spate of crimes. He was eventually imprisoned in Muntinlupa after sentenced to double life imprisonment for arson. Things turned out well for him, however. He had a change of heart while in prison, and eventually he served his people, becoming the congressman of the 1st District of Quezon City. Number 7. Ben Tumbling Benjamin Garcia was a Filipino gangster and one of the most notorious criminals in the Philippines. A resident of Malabon, he derived his nickname Ben Tumbling from his job before as a stuntman. His skill later helped him to evade policemen trying to arrest him. His exploits have come to include robberies, drug trafficking, and murder. To his account, 7 policemen have been shot dead. Hailing from Malabon, he soon gained notoriety as the feared policeman killer. His hatred with police was said to be started when he experienced torture from the hands of the police during his younger years after he was charged of a crime allegedly he didn't commit. However, reports stated that it was intensified when some of the policemen raped his wife. As fate would have it, Ben's acrobatic life ended on Friday, the March 13, 1981, in the hands of police, who chased and shot him. It is said that people of Malabon wept openly because of the incident. He was 23 years old. Number 8. Octavia Ongoy Paraginog Sr. The first leader, chosen directly by the military, was Octavia Ongoy Paraginog. We'd usually remember the Kuritong Baileng as the unfortunate gang on the receiving end of an alleged police rubout in 1997 in Quezon. Kuritong Baileng was said to be one of the most notorious gangs to have ever come out of Misamis Occidental. To the people in his hometown, however, he was known as the Robin Hood of Lois due to his reported generosity. The Kuritong Baileng was later implicated in the deaths of the authorities involved, ostensibly as retaliation for their founder's death. He died at the hands of the authorities, who shot him in a botched drug sting inside a local cockpit in 1990. Number 9. Alvin Flores. This one's another one from Cebu, trained and recruited by the Feed ABB, Alex Boncay Our Brigade, Alvin soon found a way to utilize his newfound skills towards a more lucrative end, soon linked to a series of daring robberies including the Greenbelt 5 heist in 2009. The media turned the incident into nationwide breaking news. A few weeks later, Alvin Flores was gunned down by the NBI during an operation to capture him. Lastly, number 10. Leo Echegaray was the first Filipino to receive the death penalty after its reinstatement in the Philippines in 1993, some 23 years after the last judicial execution was carried out. Convicted of the crime of raping his own daughter several times, less than a month later, Echegaray was executed via lethal injection on February 5, 1999. His last words to have been, "Bayan ng Pilipino, patawarin ako sa kasalanang ipinaratang ninyo sa akin. Filipino, pinatway ng kapwa Pilipino. People of the Philippines, forgive me of the sin which you have accused me, a Filipino, killed by fellow Filipinos."